everybody, and welcome to Real Madrid Hub, your source for Real Madrid news. I am your host, Eric Rivera, and there is still transfer rumors floating around. And of course, although the transfer market has closed in many places, it is still open in two locations, that being Russia and Turkey. And one of the teams from Turkey, one of the giants from Turkey, which is Fenerbahce, is actually still looking at Marcelo, as they are looking for him to follow in the footsteps of Roberto Carlos, as Roberto Carlos, the famous left back for Real Madrid, who eventually gave way to Marcelo, another famous left back from Real Madrid. Eventually, when he left Real Madrid, signed for the team from Istanbul. So at this point, Real Madrid currently the player from Real Madrid still wants to stay with the team until the end of June of 2022, but the team from Istanbul, Fenerbahce, still does not is not looking, not throwing in the towel. According to Blanca Garcia from Defensa Central, they are looking to hopefully convince him in the last minute to come to Fenerbahce, if not at least to sort of start looking at them at this point. His contract ends in June of 2022. We do know they have not offered him a renewal. It doesn't look like they're going to offer him a renewal, and this could be his last year. Definitely is most likely his last year at Real Madrid. And, with players like Mendy, Miguel Gutierrez, even David Alaba coming in to, that can play in that left back position, especially Miguel Gutierrez, who has really, really surprised everyone with his talent coming out of Castilla. Essentially, it looks like Marcelo is further and further lower on the pecking order in Real Madrid, and it is probably, going to be unlikely that he's going to get many minutes playing this season, essentially because Carlo Ancelotti, doesn't really, doesn't look with a good eye at his defensive lapses, especially because Marcelo is a phenomenal player going forward, and when he was younger, he had the speed to track back, which is something we're seeing consistently now. No longer is the case. So if he's not playing, if he goes forward and ventures forward, he leaves a huge hole in the back defensively, and that is something that simply Carlo Ancelotti does not have, obviously does not want to see on his team. And unfortunately, Marcelo is one of those players that at this point is kind of at the tail end of his career. No disrespect to Marcelo, of course, because I, for one, am a huge fan of Marcelo. I have loved him. He has been an absolute crack, as they say, for Real Madrid. But, as happens with, the age and with time, he is, of course, losing out to these younger players that are coming in, especially in the likes of Miguel Gutierrez, Mendy, who is still injured, and of course David Alaba, who can play at that position but was used by Bayern Munich in the last season as a center back. So these are the kind of things that have Fenerbahce looking at Marcelo. Could Marcelo possibly follow in Roberto Carlos's footsteps and essentially make the move to Istanbul when his cycle with Real Madrid comes to an end in June? That is what the team from Istanbul hopes. They are trying to negotiate with him, hopefully, if he doesn't leave, of course, in this transfer window, to hopefully, make some sort of agreement that he will come when his contract ends with Real Madrid. Moving on in other news, kind of strange, I guess, coming here from, this is a news coming out of Diario AS. Al-Khelaifi, of course, who is the president of the ECA, the European, I forgot what how it would transfer in English, but the European Clubs Association or something like that. The president of the PSG went to the assembly of the ECA and essentially was answering different questions. Of course, a lot of the questions were going to be asked about Mbappe and the offers that they received from Real Madrid that they didn't answer to. And even though Real Madrid, the French player wanted to leave as well and couldn't get his objective to go to Los Blancos this season, and wants to go to Los Blancos still at the end of the season. At this point, it's all kind of, as we know, it's pretty much that PSG is going to be fighting for him and going to make sure that he does not leave But at this point, one of the funny things that was asked, I guess, one of the things that was asked at him about him is, how could he reject a deal for 180 million euros for Mbappe, which was one of the deals, of course, which was one of the offers, of course. And the president of PSG essentially said that the reason he didn't accept the 180 million euros is because the only thing that matters, and these are his quote, the only thing that matters is that our club respects clean, fair play, financial fair play, and we respect it. That's all he left. That's all he said. Which is funny coming from a team that, only sold one player essentially for 7 million euros, and apparently has reported about a gain of 100 million euros, which we don't know where that came from. And especially because of the fact that they've incorporated the likes of Messi, Ashraf, Donnarumma, Sergio Ramos, Nuno Mendes, all these players, Jorginho Wijnaldum, all of these players that have been added to their roster and essentially, of course, make up some sort of, they have to have a masa salarial, there's got to be a wage bill there. And at this point, no one has asked any questions of PSG, which is, in my personal point of view, is strange, considering that I think it's just convenient, considering that, this guy's best buddies with Seferin from UEFA, who has, of course, not hidden his disdain for Real Madrid and, of course, the teams involved that were involved in the Superliga and that continue to be involved in the Superliga. And at this point, best friends, of course, with guys like Al-Khelaifi, who we can see definitely don't respect financial fair play, it seems like. But, those are the things that are happening currently in football. That's just what he said, essentially, that, that they rejected the 100 million euros for Mbappe because they respect financial fair play, which is kind of strange, considering that the reports show that they kind of needed that money in order to make good on financial fair play rules. But of course, we also heard that financial fair play rules were not going to be enforced. The new financial fair play rules or whatever were not going to be enforced until 2023. How convenient for PSG, right? Just another story there that, we just look away from. Nothing to see here, as they would say. El Madrid recuperates Lunin and Nacho and Kroos. Basically, this is from Diario Marca saying that Madrid basically gets Lunin is back on the squad list after getting better from COVID, after testing negative from COVID after having COVID, and that Toni Kroos and Nacho are already back on the field, back on playing, training on the grass again. They will not be available. The news is apparently from Marca is that it's going to be complicated for them to play against Celta this Sunday. So everybody, one of the another good news that came out of this weekend is, of course, it's the international break is coming to a close, and we will finally see Real Madrid take the field again at the new Bernabeu against Celta, which is going to be a beautiful sight to see. But these two players, unfortunately, Nacho, Kroos, will most likely not be available. Mendy is already back in training with the group. Most likely, probably will not be available as well. And then Modric and Ceballos are still working in the gym, working inside, have not gone back to play yet on or train yet on the grass or with the team yet. So, still some injury issues there, and we're still waiting on the 10 players that were left on international duty to return, but they should be returning sometime this week. Be right before the clash between Real Madrid and Celta Vigo. Moving on, one of the names on everybody's lips was once again Erling Haaland, an absolute beast of a player, of course. And, his performance against Gibraltar, left everyone, of course, talking about him again, scoring a hat trick against Gibraltar, something that a hat trick that leaves the Norwegian team tied at 13 points in their group alongside the Netherlands, who, of course, although he's from the competition, Memphis Depay had a fantastic game as well against Turkey, also scoring a hat trick. But Haaland also fantastic, scored a hat trick of his own against Gibraltar. Needless to say, I mean, Gibraltar, it's not like Gibraltar is a team that is very difficult to play against. They've historically always been a team that is on the receiving end of a lot of goals. But Haaland used, this opportunity to continue to pad his stats and continue to score. And this is the thing. One of the things that I saw from this game, which I actually had the chance to watch some of the highlights from and watch all the goals. I mean, the reason why Haaland, regardless of who he played against, we've seen this from Haaland. And one thing that just blows my mind with Haaland is the absolute change of pace, the acceleration, as you would call it, the change of pace he has of rapidly going from 0 to 60, you could say, using a phrase, of course. But his change of pace is so insane in how he can go from being at a standstill to just going all out, firing all out, and running, at top speed in a split second. And this allows him to get into the right positions pretty much all the time, being in front of goal. And the thing is, every opportunity that he had to get in front of goal pretty much resulted in a goal for Norway against Gibraltar. Again, it's Gibraltar, but what is amazing to see is the movement of Erling Haaland. And I'm pretty sure all of you that, follow football and follow, of course, players like Haaland, who are considered the stars of the future, would see that one of the things, of course, is his acceleration, his strength, and then, of course, his his basically the calmness that he has once it's time to score. Once he's in a position to score, if he's in front of the goal, he's in front of the goalie, he doesn't have anybody obstructing him, the chances of Erling Haaland missing a shot are very, very, very low. I mean, he is an absolute animal. And the one thing that I loved about him watching this game was, once again, was the movement, getting into positions, almost understanding, almost in a way reading the game to a point where he knew where balls were going to bounce, even where they were going to deflect to, and where possibly the ball would deflect to inside the penalty box, moving in a position where he even knew, like, where anticipated the pass, the pullbacks, everything, getting in the right position at the right moment, always there, ready to receive the ball, ready to score. And even if the ball got caught up in, let's say, sort of a pinball-esque sort of defensive situation where the ball was bouncing in the final third with defenders and everything in front of him, still found a way to break through that with his strength and score. He's absolutely an amazing player. And, hopefully a future Real Madrid player, which is why a lot of us keep an eye on him, as we do know he does have a love for Real Madrid. But it all remains to be seen what's going to be happening at the end of the season. But it's just another player that we continue to keep an eye on, as he's just been fantastic, of course. Another fantastic performance from him. And, of course, he's been doing well with Borussia Dortmund. So, just a person we always like to keep an eye on. That is the news I have right now for Real Madrid. And, of course, other news from in the international break. For all your Real Madrid news, please stay tuned here on Real Madrid Hub. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so that you get notifications every single time JOTA or myself upload videos to the channel. We're constantly updating. JOTA is always on top of things. He's constantly updating the page, and throughout the day is posting some of the top news coming out of Real Madrid. So if you guys want to stay on top of everything that's going on with the club, make sure you hit the subscribe and notification button. And thank you once again for listening.